this is possible, this fight is doable. And if you ask me, someday, someone will find a way to make it doable. If there's one thing this game shows,
Satan is beatable in human form.
He is?
Holy shit, he is.
Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to one hell of a run back. About 3 years ago, I did a challenge run where I beat Digital Devil Saga 1 without using the character's demon forms, even beating the game's infamous super boss against the Demi-Fiend. And about a year later, I followed that up by doing the same challenge in the game's sequel, Digital Devil Saga 2. That video holds a special place in my heart, as I feel like it's where I really found my style. A mix of the game's story with some comedic bits atop the struggle that is the run itself. And while I do think my later videos are better, DDS2 Human Only is where I really came into my own. But sadly, I was not able to go 2 for 2 on beating the game's super boss. While the Demi-Fiend is certainly the more well-known fight, Satan is much harder. The fight starts with him casting Futility, which prevents anything that would change your damage resistances. Then every 4 turns, he checks to see if you have your stats fully buffed. If he does, he removes those buffs. If not, he uses God's Breath, which deals a static 9,999 damage and instantly kills you. If you survive that long enough to bring him to half health, he opens the turn after that with Temptation, a spell that always hits and always inflicts the charm status. Because of Futility, the only way to block this is with the Void Charm spell, which prevents charm for 1 turn. Then once he hits 25%, all other turns start with Retribution, which instantly kills the party member with the lowest magic stat. And if you reduce him to less than 5% health without killing him, he'll use Diarahin to fully heal himself. In case you need a refresher on human forms, humans can't cast spells, which means we can't use Void Charm for Temptation or use the stat buffs to prevent God's Breath. We literally can't even start the fight. I briefly considered the idea of finding an item duplication glitch to clone the Impel Stone, a single-use item that gives you 4 extra actions, but that didn't exactly seem possible. I published a video, said thanks to my friends and loved ones, and moved on to future projects. 2 years later, on New Year's Day 2026, a user by the name of TigersharkMaxwell joined our Discord server at 4:30 in the morning. At 5 a.m., he sends me a Discord message, and at 7:30, he left. Since we weren't friends on Discord, this went to my requests folder, so I didn't see it until a week later when I was cleaning that folder out. And among the spam messages from bot accounts, I found something I never expected. Maxwell had sent a potential strategy for beating Satan in human form. The main thing he proposed was using the Close Call passive to get around God's Breath. Close Call is essentially a worse version of the Endure passive found in most SMT games, which lets you survive a fatal blow with 1 HP once per fight. But in both DDS games, this is replaced by Close Call, which does the same thing, but puts you into human form after it triggers. Using this, we would be able to survive God's Breath once per character. So if we have everyone else leave the battlefield before that happens, each character buys us 4 extra turns. Plus, since God's Breath consumes all of Satan's press turns, we can bring everyone back on the next turn. Now, instead of dying on turn 4, we die on turn 24. The reason I didn't consider this skill last time is because it technically violates my rules. Since Close Call has you survive at 1 health then revert to human form, it won't trigger if you're already in human form. But then I started to think about the situation a bit more. In the original video, I said, and I quote, "Demon forms deal more and take less damage." That defense boost is why I said demon forms taking damage wasn't allowed. But God's Breath does static damage. That makes it the single attack in the entire game where that defense boost doesn't apply. We gain nothing from demon form besides Close Call. So if you're comfortable offering me one tiny technicality, I will offer you a question. Can you beat Satan in Digital Devil Saga 2 in human form? Fair warning, since it plays in this fight, get ready for like a dozen different remixes of Hunting Betrayal. Let's start by going over the fight in detail. Satan has 30,000 HP and operates on a 4-turn cycle. He always takes half damage from almighty attacks, repels light and dark, and is immune to all ailments. As for the other damage types, his resistances change as he goes through his turns, which I'll refer to as turns 1 through 4. On turn 1, he repels physical and gun and takes 80% damage from fire, ice, electric, force, and earth. On turn 2, he trades repel fizz and gun for repel, fire, ice, and electric, so guns now deal 80%. Turn 3, he swaps out fire repel for force repel, and turn 4, he swaps out ice for earth. As for his attacks, Satan has 3 phases. Phase 1 uses high-power single-target spells, and his only unique attack is God's Breath, which, like I said, happens on turn 4 and uses his entire turn. Phase 2 starts at half health and sees him swap to spells that hit 3 to 6 times on random targets. He now also starts turn 1s with Temptation. Phase 3 starts at 25% health and uses high power spells that hit everyone once each. Turns 2 and 3 now also open with Retribution. And if he ever starts a turn with less than 5% health, the fight starts over. Note, while he usually only uses Temptation or Retribution on those specific turns, if you trigger a phase change, he'll use that move on the following turn, regardless of where he is in the cycle. The only exception is if that turn would be a God's Breath turn, as that always takes priority. So, now that we understand the fight, let's go over Maxwell's strategy. The skills he suggested were Human Form, Close Call, Deploy, Quick Cure, Resolution, Critical, Max Critical, and Life Surge. Human Form has to start the fight in Human Form, and Close Call we've already talked about. Deploy makes it so switching a character with another only costs half a press turn. This boosts our turn economy while switching people around, giving us more time for shooting. Quick Cure makes us naturally recover from ailments more quickly, which is how we'll get around Temptation. Life Surge also boosts a unit's HP by 30%, which helps get anyone with lower HP up to snuff. As for Critical, Max Critical, and Resolution, they don't work. Yeah, I found this out recently. Apparently, the critical passives, as well as Resolution, which boost damage relative to lost health, just don't work in Human Form. In fact, they barely work at all. For whatever reason, they only affect the basic attack command. They do nothing to anything else. So that was 24 hours of my life wasted. But even without them, this was enough to make a rough setup. So Zephyr and I booted up a surprise stream that day and started making attempts and brainstorming ideas. And with the help of over 200 active viewers, y'all helped us test a lot of theories, figure out what worked and what didn't, as well as discover a whole lot of jank. Like, I know PS2 era Atlas games are janky, but this is some serious jank. Here are some of the highlights. An early idea was to use the boosted amp passives for one of the elements, since both combined would nearly double the power of items of that element, which would really help on the gun rappel turns. But apparently those passives just don't work with items. Which is bullshit, because these games were built off of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, and it worked over there. We also discovered that the combo attacks used in Human Form only take the strongest ammo used into account. For example, if Seraph was using the Pandemonium ammo, which is power 300, and then did a twin shot combo, it wouldn't matter whether their combo partner was using the power 200 Magatama or the power 8 bullet. The damage will be the same even if someone else starts the combo. However, if Seraph has any offensive buffs, the combos will do more damage if they're the one to start it. But in the original run, we found out that debuffs don't matter for combos, but apparently buffs do, but only the buffs of the combo starter. Lastly, Zephyr had the idea to come in cursed and use the Demon Ring, a karma ring that boosts damage while the wearer is cursed. This would be difficult to maintain since curse gives every attack 100% recoil, but if we had somebody on permanent healing duty, it could work. Guess what else only works on basic attacks? Walking away from the stream, I had a lot of ideas, but nothing concrete. After everything we tried that night, our best attempt only did a little over 5,000 damage. And we didn't even know Quick Cure would actually get us past Temptation. A lot of people in chat said that it wouldn't work until at least one turn had passed. Testing it off camera, that seemed to be true, so we needed another answer to Temptation. Even if we came in cursed, which is the ailment with the highest priority, we'd lose it when we died to God's Breath, and being cursed means someone would have to be on healing duty. But then we thought of another option. Ache. Ache is a special status ailment in these games that represents the party getting a stomach ache after they vor somebody. While it causes you to randomly skip turns, it's also one of the highest priority ailments in the game. And while it's usually triggered by eating someone, it can also happen if you eat a moldy roll, so we can trigger it at will. We had an answer to Temptation again.
This is me doing some tests after the stream. This is Seraph, a muscle drink to become ached, before Temptation. And this happens.
I spent hours plugging numbers into Excel to try to create a timeline, but no matter what I tried, it was just not happening. Even optimizing to do as much damage as possible without Quick Cure healing us, we either had to bank on unrealistic luck with Satan's attacks, or find a way to implement Curse into the strategy. But as I was staring into the spreadsheet, I had an epiphany. But in order to talk about it, first we have to talk about parallel universes. Nah, I'm just kidding. We have to talk about Karma Rings. Karma Rings are special accessories that give the user unique effects. Two of them are basically required. The turn ring gives us an additional action at the start of our turns, and the synchro ring makes combos to wherever starts cost 1 less action, making crossfire cost 2 actions and reducing twin shot down to 1, the same as any other attack. This actually reveals a problem with Maxwell's strategy of switching people out. Say Seraph has the turn ring. When they leave the battlefield to dodge God's breath, we will no longer get that extra turn. We do not benefit from karma rings unless the wearer is on the field. However, a dead character is still on the field. And since Close Call doesn't trigger unless the unit is in demon form, Seraph can die in human form a dozen times, maintaining Close Call while still providing that extra turn. This doesn't just solve the karma ring problem, but the curse problem as well. 2 turns before Satan would use Temptation, we have somebody we've cursed beforehand, let's say Heat, tag in to tank God's breath. Then, after they revive everyone, when Satan hits everyone with Charm, Curse's higher priority keeps them safe. And then they can cleanse the status for everyone else the next turn. Hell, we can even have them start in demon form to make it so they don't have to transform mid-fight. Who would have thought a human-only one would start in demon form? Just like that, Temptation is solved. Twice. While this will work, it only works twice. Once we hit phase 2, we only get 2 more lives before we succumb to Temptation. As for Retribution, it's a lot easier to solve. Since it targets the person with the lowest magic stat, we just have to make sure everybody who isn't a main damage dealer has lower magic. Even if the DPS have 99 and the rest have 98, that's fine. But that means we need to decide our team comp right now before we start handing out stat boosts. Unsurprisingly, Seraph is a shoo-in. Seraph's Prana Beam is the strongest gun we have access to, with the highest power and a solid crit rate. So they should also have the strongest ammo, Pandemonium. Since they'll always be on the field, we'll also give them the turn ring. Next, we have to choose the Synchro Ring user, who will be our main source of damage. Twin shot combos with Seraph are the best damage to action ratio we have, as long as someone keeps them healed up. This really comes down to preference, pick anyone you want, except for Argilla. Argilla being the only other character with a single target gun is way too important. She's literally too useful to be our main DPS. She will be on the team, just not here. Anyway, I personally chose Gale to be my Synchro user, since with Sarah filling the role of both Seraph and Sarah, that meant all the leaders of the Embryon were on the team. As for Argilla, her job is fine-tuning damage. Ironically, not being the highest DPS means she has the greatest ability to vary what she does, allowing her to raise or lower our damage to make sure we hit phase shifts when we want to. If we roll too high, wild bombs or non-critical rifles can bring us back down. If we're too low, her rifle's higher critical rate can bring us back up. She's also going to be our main healer as everyone else focuses on damage. This does also mean she's going to be the one who dies the Retribution, so... sorry. As for Heat and Gale, I got them afflicted with Curse, then removed human form and put them in the back. I gave Cielo the Avoid Ring, which ends Satan's turn if Cielo dodges or nulls an attack, and Heat the Phantom Ring to boost his evasion in human form. But wait, you say, you didn't mention Argilla's Karma Ring. Well, while what I've said gets us most of the way there, it still just wasn't enough even if every single shot was a critical hit. There just wasn't enough time, not enough turns, not enough actions to guarantee that we'd cross the finish line. Guarantee being the operative word. The variable ring is a worse version of the turn ring that gives us a 1 in 3 chance to start each turn with an additional press turn, lose a press turn, or get nothing. This stacks with the turn ring, so if we roll well, we have 5 press turns per round. This gives us enough time to do the damage we need. Assuming 95% of our attacks are critical hits, we always get 5 actions, none of our attacks miss, Satan never kills anybody, never uses Debilitate, never hits us with any ailments outside of Mutant Temptation, and we don't roll too low on damage. Yeah, I'm sorry if you were looking for something humanly possible. No. Demi-Fiend was humanly possible. This requires an act of God. Don't believe me? This strategy wins on turn 20, so we need to make variable rings 1 in 3 chance 20 times. As for critical hits, we'll use this Game FAQ's guide by Coley for Seraph and Argilla's crit rates. I don't entirely trust these numbers, especially that 75% for Argilla, but let's assume it's legit. As for Twin Shot, seeing as Gale, Cielo, Heat, and Rolled have a 5% crit rate, we'll assume that's the game's standard and give Twin Shot a 5% chance. If this was all we had to worry about, that is 20 variable rings, 12 Argilla crits, 42 Seraph crits, and 36 Twin Shot crits. Multiply all those odds together, and we get this. To give that number some meaning, say you had every atom on planet Earth attempting to beat Satan, and that they were each putting in 1 billion Satan attempts a second. on average, it would take over 317 billion years to score a win naturally. Alternatively, if you had every atom in the observable universe make a single attempt, only one would succeed. So yeah, we're gonna be cheating.
That's right, we're gonna cheat.
For critical hits, I'll be using save states in my totally legitimate PS2 in order to retry attacks until they crit, as well as the brute force favorable turns from Satan. For the variable ring, I'll be using a cheat engine table made by Fearless Revolution user Overdoes It in order to simulate the variable ring always working. You could absolutely do this with save states as well and just re-roll until it works. This was just to save on time. Beyond that, nothing has been modified. No other cheats are in play. This is theoretically possible for you to do at home. With everyone wearing their karma rings, Cielo and Heat cursed and in demon form, a perfect setup, a well-made plan, and the computer tools to make it possible, we enter Satan's chambers, ready to become that one single atom.
I am Satan, the one who stands below God the Judge. I see you have chosen to retaliate, just as that man did. Then prepare, Seraph, to receive God's eternal punishment of damnation.
While Satan repelling gun on turn 1 means we can't shoot him yet, this does mean we don't have to fish for good RNG. We can just toss out 5 wild bombs and move on. Turn 2 is when we would begin our main loop. Gale opens with a twin shot, followed by a basic attack from Seraph and a wild bomb from Argilla. Since gun combos cost HP to use, after Gale and Seraph finish filling him with lead, have Argilla heal them back to full, then end on another twin shot. During the first phase, we're really banking on Satan not focusing any one target. He does like to spread his attacks out, but if he does focus on someone, the only person who can take it is Argilla, since Gale and Seraph need to spend HP for twin shot. Also, if he uses Debilitate, just reset. Thankfully, he does also have Mahamon, which, since humans are immune to light, causes him to lose a turn, which is huge for us. Turn 3 is similar to turn 2, though since we're about to die to God's Breath, there's no point in healing. Once we hit Gale's third action, we need to decide who's going to tank God's Breath. Spoilers, we're saving Seraph for last, so this choice is between Argilla and Gale. I went with Argilla first, so after Gale and Seraph sneak one final twin shot in, she's the only survivor. Turn 4, Argilla can sneak in a critical hit before reviving Seraph, before they do the same thing so she can revive Gale, followed by a twin shot so we can heal up Argilla. This is the overall gameplay loop of the fight. Turn 1, we heal and throw bombs. Turn 2 and 3, open fire, then get someone in demon form. Turn 4, pick everyone back up and reset. This is how it goes for turns 5 through 8, however, I noticed that Gale was hitting below average with his twin shots consistently, so I had Argilla switch back to using her rifle. Turn 7, it was Gale's turn to die, so at the end of the turn, I had Argilla fire a shot and Gale go demon. This time, after God's Breath, I just revived everyone without attacking. If I'd have had Seraph get a couple crits again, we would trigger Temptation on turn 10, meaning Satan would use it on turn 11. This slight decrease in damage means we trigger phase 2 with our first shot of turn 11, dodging the extra Temptation. That said, it is still coming up, so we have Gale burn an extra turn by using Crossfire instead of Twin Shot, then have Argilla swap him out for Cielo. From here on, since our phase 3 trigger is a lot more lenient, we don't have to worry about doing too much damage anymore, so Argilla switches entirely to her rifle. After Cielo picks everyone back up on turn 12, we now have to worry about our first Temptation. Thankfully, the curse strat worked, and Cielo avoids the charm, but he still needs to survive. Usually someone dying before turn 1 isn't a big deal since we don't lose that much tempo, but if Cielo dies, we can't remove the charm and the run is over. Assuming he lives, our turn 1 now consists of using Panacea on Seraph, then Argilla, then having Argilla swap Gale back in, who heals everyone back up. We still have time to throw out a couple bombs, but going from 4 bombs to 2 does mean we're doing a bit less damage. In phase 2, Satan's random target attacks are going to hit hard, and they're not going to go where you want them to. So getting through this phase is gonna take a lot of luck, and luck I was just not getting, as the best turn I could get on turn 15 ended up with Argilla getting charmed. I was doing fine on damage, but taking time to heal her caused me to lose all momentum. In fact, Argilla's rifle shot here was the only reason we triggered Retribution this turn like I planned. I did anticipate something going wrong, so I gave myself 800 damage of wiggle room, but this left me almost 700 damage behind. If I still wanted to win, nothing else could go wrong. Thankfully, Heat must have gotten the message, since after he picked everyone up following turn 16's God Breath, he got 2 dodges in a row, turning what would have been a loss to Megidolan into a perfectly safe turn. Heat coming in clutch with a Phantom Ring was my favorite part of this fight. But with both of our cursed units no longer having close call, this was our last cycle. We had 3 turns to take him down. Turn 18 was our first Retribution turn, and since Argilla had less magic, she takes the fall. That said, Retribution being guaranteed means Satan has 1 less action to bully us with, which makes it slightly easier to survive Phase 3's all-target attacks. Argilla being dead does mean we have 1 less action on our turn, but that doesn't stop us from blasting Satan over and over, waiting to revive her until the last second. And this was where I got the luck I needed to save the run. See, I assumed Satan would do so much damage, I would need to use Seraph's first action to heal. But on his turn, he went for Mahamon, ending his turn early and dealing less damage. Because of that, we had enough HP for our combos, so Seraph could make another attack. Plus, we didn't need to bother reviving Argilla this turn, since she'd just die next turn anyway. This brought us back down to around 500 damage off target, which was completely fine. With our last action, Seraph reverts to Ardha, Satan kills Gale, and we reach turn 20, or as I like to call it, Seraph's last stand. Combos will require us to revive Gale and heal Seraph, and that's too much wasted time. We need all of our actions to push for game. So Seraph proceeds to open fire, attack after attack, before cracking the Impel Stone to keep going. With a whopping 9 attacks in a single round, Seraph is the last one standing as we take Satan down.
What do you intend to accomplish by avoiding God's justice? Where will you go?
For every generation, in every world, the final question of life is always the same. Though the God that spirit praised is different from the God of this world, the ultimate answer lies within you. Now go, Seraph.
Hallelujah! Holy shit!
Special thanks to TigersharkMaxwell for tossing me this idea, as well as everyone on stream for helping us figure it out. And of course, special thanks to Patreon backers Sokekin, Gracemy, Kirara, Dylan Toomey, Hound, Cerulean Mimic, and Shiny Blade, and to YouTube members Dawn Shimmer, Axel Ryman, Ryoko Strifer, 0132132, Kitasan Crimson, Fabrizio Pignataro Nasudakatox, Jaffinator2166, Pika the Wumpus, Oplin124, Shadowcoin, Platinum Espresso, Agrith Dragonflame, Hunter Regal, Not D Waddler, Kibo, Nep Dimension Bun, RNS, Part-Time Prick, and Ray the Shame. And because I didn't get to say it last time, despite the fact that everyone believed it to be completely impossible, you can complete Digital Devil Saga 2 without using any demons. Now, how the hell am I gonna top that?